Hi, I'm Glenn Whipp with the Los Angeles Times. Orange is the New Black premiered its new episodes for season 3 just a few days ago. Joining us today from the cast, Yael Stone.
Hi.
Hi.
It's lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. So you were at a convention, I guess, an Orange is the New Black convention, right around when the episodes were going to drop. They dropped
it was
a few hours early.
very dramatic.
Yeah.
There was a plea from Uzo, and what Uzo wants, Uzo gets.
You're not going to say no to her.
I wouldn't say no to her. Why would you? She's so delightful. I mean, there's no point saying no to Uzo. So yeah, the episodes dropped a little early, which meant rabid fans could consume them all, 4 hours early, which made all the difference.
Right. You got that little 4-hour jump there.
Oh yeah.
But, I was talking to Uzo last year. She came in and she was saying, you guys don't get like all the episodes early on a screen or anything, do you? Or
no, I did have the opportunity to watch them early this year, and it just didn't feel right. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to wait and do it like I do every year because it's become a little tradition now. And I kind of enjoy rediscovering the episodes as everyone's watching them because we have a lot of back and forth with fans kind of writing to us on Twitter and Instagram. So it's kind of fun, having those revelations at the same time as them. And, we finished shooting November last year, so it's actually been a while since I've seen that stuff. So it's really delightful to watch the episodes and be like, oh yeah, we did that. Yeah. And we also did that.
Everybody kind of watches at their own pace though, so you're never really sure how much to reveal or put out there and spoil.
It's true. Weird. I don't want to spoil anything. I'm kind of try and talk around plot points a lot of the time. And particularly with my friends, I'm kind of like, I need to check in where everybody's up to.
Yeah.
I've got some pretty strict rules, for other TV shows as well right now. I'm kind of at some critical points and I don't want anyone to ruin anything about Game of Thrones or The Sopranos. Right now, that's where my watching is happening. Obviously, I do know what happens in Orange is the New Black, but I'm still kind of watching it with excitement.
Well, we'll keep season 3 a little vague right now.
Let's be vague.
Let's talk.
That's my favorite way to be honest.
So season 2.
Yes.
4th episode. Amazing backstory for your character.
It was amazing, wasn't it? Sean Hedda did a beautiful job of writing that episode. She's very clever.
That's the thing, we go along with this show and we, kind of learn about the history of the characters. A lot of times it's kind of a tragic history or sad. I mean, this had those elements to be sure, but my God, Lorna is kind of a scary person
that was
too.
Unexpected.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. We do learn about these characters and learn that they come from a place of trauma that has sort of led them to a place of trauma, that place being prison. And I think, a lot of the times that backstory is so helpful in terms of fostering a compassion for these people who have made a mistake. And it's often a very sad mistake that has landed them in prison. But you're right, in the case of Lorna, it was slightly more psychotic.
Yeah.
But I would argue again, kind of motivated from a place of desperation. And I think she was very lost at that time in her life. And I think all of us have sort of felt a little bit of Lorna when there is that element of a desperate need to be loved, a need to connect. She takes it 12 steps too far, obviously. But this sort of sense of unrequited love takes over. And, I did a little research into this particular kind of stalking. And it does exist in the person as a kind of sickness, as a kind of delusion, where they believe that there is a genuine connection, that person owes them certain things, and that's not something that they're lying to other people about. They actually believe it themselves. And I think that's where Lorna's coming from. At the time when she made her improvised explosive device and attached it to the car of Christopher's fiance, that that she was motivated by a story that she really believed. And, you know, I think, you know, she represents a kind of sickness, you know, as does characters like Suzanne,
Sure.
Crazy Eyes. You know, I think when we look at prison populations, certainly there's a huge population. I believe it's 40% of jail populations are made up of people who are mentally unwell. And sometimes prison / jail will act as a stand-in, you know, for proper facilities for people with mental health problems. And, you know, I think that's an important part of what our show is dealing with and shedding a light on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you talk about that delusion. I mean, you do such a beautiful job of it up there on the witness stand, where she's so happy to be in the same room as Christopher and just doesn't have any idea of like how serious it is for her right then.
Yeah, I think that is incredibly sad, isn't it? You know, it's probably the second time she's been in a room with him where he knows she's there. And I think that is incredibly sad. You know, we can trip our way along deep into the rabbit hole of that mistake and not even realize how serious it is. And, you know, I was lucky enough to be sitting next to Piper Kerman the other week, and she was talking about the decisions that she'd made that had landed her in prison in real life. And of course, it's her book, her memoir, that this show is based on. And, you know, there's small decisions that add up, that have consequences. One of the fans asked her, would you go back and change everything? Or, you know, or would you leave it as it is, given how many wonderful things have happened and, you know, with the show and the growing awareness of the problems in the system? And she, without a beat, said, no, of course I would change everything. I made some terrible mistakes that had some terrible impacts on people. And I thought that was really, I mean, really wonderful to hear, because it was, you know, very honest. And she talks so freely about the mistakes that she's made. And I think we see that in the show, you know, and I think we see Lorna in that courtroom scene. There she is, caught up still in the love, in the desperation, in the need and the yearning. And she is deep in the poo-poo.
Yes, very deep. And I guess she almost saw Christopher a third time. And actually, it was Christopher coming into the house that kind of saved her from getting into really big trouble, because it woke her up from taking a bath. I mean, that was interesting, because you saw so much of her is in, you know, everything we see of her is in prison, but here's like a little respite from prison, like a spa visit almost.
Amazing.
Like a crazy.
Yeah. You know, I thought what was so fascinating about the structure of that particular episode, and why I say it was so well written by Sean, is not only do we flash back to the past and see her in, you know, the way she used to dress, the way she used to look, the way she used to live, but we also got to see the present and this kind of wild decision making where she was moving out of the context of prison. So we were moving out of it in the backstory and also in the present. And I met somebody the other day who was a former inmate at Danbury, the prison that Litchfield is based on. And she told me about a friend of hers who had done the same thing, who was a prison driver who had used the van to do that very thing. Not exactly. I don't think it was an ex-lover or anything like that, but she used the van to move outside of the prison. She did get caught, and she got 7 extra years on her sentence. And I was horrified to hear that story, and very sad for about that decision. And then also was thinking, gee, Genji is good. I mean, she knows how to write these stories. I mean, obviously also there's been a prison break in New York at the moment in real life, and I can't help but see the link between that and V's escape at the end of season 2. I mean, Genji really has her finger on the pulse in a scary way. She
does, yeah. I mean, you can kind of start watching season 3 for clues as to what might happen in the future. Right?
We're using Orange is the New Black as some kind of fortune-telling tool.
Yeah. Well, I guess Lorna almost got caught in a lot of ways, but I love the little scene where she rolls down the window because she notices the bathrobe is still in the car.
Oh my
There were a lot
goodness.
of great details in that episode.
Yeah, yeah. We actually had a funny comedy sequence where Lorna was driving back from the house to get back to the hospital, and we were doing this funny sequence where I was like getting changed and driving, and I like had my foot up and was doing all the stuff, and they said, you know what? It just became a little bit of an I Love Lucy moment, and it was way too silly. I'm sad we lost it. I hope it's somewhere out in the world in some kind of outtake bin.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I mean, orange, deleted scenes someday, maybe.
Yeah, there's a great bloopers reel from season 1 that I watched again and again, which really made me laugh. There's this one particular moment with Taylor Schilling where she was trying to, kind of summon up this primordial scream, and it just, in this one blooper, it turns from her like reaching for this primordial scream and just bursting out laughing, and it's one of the most joyful moments out there. Whenever I'm feeling sad, I watch it.
Guaranteed to pick you up. Yeah.
It kind of is. She's a funny lady.
Yeah.
She's a funny lady on screen and off. Yeah.
So is this a big deal this year? Season 3, series regular.
Yeah. It's, I mean, it doesn't change my relationship to the show at all. It doesn't change my relationship to the people that I work with. But I guess there is a sense of greater security in that, and anything that kind of binds me closer to this show makes me very happy. I'm very proud to be a part of this show, a small part of a very large cast, a very large team that's part of this storytelling. But it's so easy for me to talk about this show because I love it so much. I think as a form of entertainment, it's wonderful. As a kind of message about social change, it's really wonderful. And the fact that those things can coexist so neatly together, I mean, that's a dream come true.
And a large cast, but somehow, I mean, they do such a nice job of serving all those characters.
I completely agree. Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, pardon me. There's some big personalities in terms of those characters that exist on the show, and somehow everyone has a moment, and a moment to kind of show the front, and a moment to reveal something more vulnerable. And I mean, again, it's all about the writing.
Yeah. So little what'd you like about season 3? Just a little taste, little tease about what we can expect for your character. I mean, probably a lot of people already know, but I've only watched one episode. I like to savor them.
Well, as I don't like to spoil anything, I will be very vague, as I said. But I've never played a character that's so. What's so important about Lorna is that she works kind of from the outside in. She uses masks to make herself feel better. And I think a lot of people in the world do that. And I think it's a very valid way to be. And it's interesting to play somebody like that, because you've got to find somewhere the deep, dark, murky stuff and then layer it over with something really shiny and bright. And so in season 3, Lorna's a little lost. And she's using different masks. She's trying out different masks, and she's trying to project whatever anybody else wants, and she's trying to be that. And that's kind of a fascinating thing to play. So this amorphic quality about her in season 3, and it was really, I mean, really fun as an actor to do that, and really interesting to play that.
Okay, you have a plane to catch.
I do.
We need to get you out of here, but thank you so much for dropping by.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
And for more of these conversations, please go to latimes.com and you'll find a whole bunch. Thanks for watching.